Hello and welcome back, G-Man here, coming to you from my studio lab. Today I'm giving a user review of my new Behringer RD-6, a complete recreation of the Roland TR-606 analog drum machine, with some added features that I'll break down for you. Now available for a fraction of the cost of an original 606. While I have a TR-606, I'm not making another typical audio comparison video. This isn't a tutorial either. I'm more interested if the RD-6 is a good value and sound for the money. How well can it really work for eurorack modular systems? How does it compare to other analog drum machines currently available? Let's jump in. Right out of the box, let's look at the construction. My translucent green case is made out of plastic. It's very lightweight. It's about the same size as a 606. I find the controls and buttons are acceptable. They wiggle and twist a bit, but get the job done. We have plastic shaft pots here. 1/8 inch sync in and out jacks. Low and high tom trigger outs. 1/8 inch headphone jack. Around the back, dedicated DC input jack and power switch. Printer style USB. Excellent. In my experience, this is the most reliable USB port, where the slim Samsung style port is the least reliable. MIDI in plus out through. This supports MIDI channel selection and clock synchronization, as well as external MIDI note triggering of the sounds, which I'll demonstrate later. 1/4 inch start-stop jack for use with a foot switch. Main mix output jack. This is mono, TS unbalanced jack, so if you want stereo panning of sounds, you'll want to use the 6/8 inch individual voice out jacks. There's no battery compartment. The RD-6 stores the patterns in non-volatile solid state memory. Let's plug in and drill down into some sounds. The RD-6 has 8 sounds that cannot be edited, but they are among the most classic drum sounds. Snappy kick and snare. Low and high tom. Long cymbal. Open and closed hi-hat. There's the clap circuit taken from the DR-110. I'll focus on the clap in the next section. Writing patterns is identical to the original. 16 steps per pattern. Then you can chain patterns together in track mode and create longer sequences. There are 2 pattern groups, so 32 patterns total. Distortion. You have controls for distortion amount, tone, and level. The distortion circuit reminds me of when I ran my 606 through a Proco rat pedal. It's definitely usable if that's your thing. Individual controls for the bass drum, snare, toms, cymbal clap, and hats, plus an amount knob for the accent. Let's briefly focus on the clap. Claps are hard, in the sense that there's a lot of hoops that the circuit has to jump through in order to sound exactly right. But you're keen to notice drum machines don't sound like a single clap. No exception, the DR-110 clap aspires to be more than that. It is attempting to sound like multiple claps happening at the same time. As per usual, it has the 2 sound components, transient and tail. The transient is special in that it is made up of 3 gated impact triggers, to mimic the at least 3 people clapping together but not exactly perfectly in sync. These gates need to be spaced about 10 milliseconds apart. Only then may we try to introduce the tail part of the sound after that. I only mentioned this so we can appreciate when the clap feels right. Let's go ahead and compare the RD-6 clap to the original DR-110. Very interesting indeed. So did you notice the switch says BR110? Does that mean that Behringer might be recreating the DR110? Food for thought. Moving on. Perhaps the most intriguing improvement in the RD-6 is to use external sequencers to control the drum sounds. Let's face it, that old 606 style drum sequencer is easy to use, but it is very limiting. I fully anticipate using the KeyStep Pro to create and mangle patterns of the RD-6 sounds. It would have made sense to use track 1 in drum mode to do so, but I wasn't able to map the sounds for some reason, so I ended up using one of the sequence tracks, which works fine since it offers polyphonic sequencing. I was also able to use the real-time controls to mix up the drum jam, stutter effects, changing the sequence last step, inverting the pattern, nudging, even transposing the sequence gives rise to interesting things. Check it out, so much fun. You can't do these things with the original 606 patterns. Hooking up the RD-6 to a computer using the USB cable, we can create the patterns using Synth Tool and back them up to the computer that way too. Also perform an operating system update if needed. When plugging the individual outputs into eurorack, they are not very loud at all. Let's plug the individual outs into an audio mixer. Seems like that's the way it needs to be done. And now for some final thoughts. At this price point, you can't really expect too much from the RD-6. It still might seem limited by comparison to modern drum machines. The Volcabeats by Korg and Arturia Drum Brute Impact are in about the same price range, however you can edit their sounds. The RD-6 doesn't have onboard digital effects, sampling, FM, or parameter lock, seen on more expensive Electron and other brand gear. The RD-6 definitely won't compete with the functionality of your DAW, but the sounds are so authentic, classic, and usable. And the addition of USB, MIDI, clap, and distortion definitely makes it more user-friendly without departing from the spirit of the original. And that's what we really have going here. The true to original TR-606 user experience. I have to applaud Behringer for keeping it affordable and the restraint of not deviating from the simple 606 idea. The idea the 606 gives us a basic beat while we craft a stealthy mix around that. Less is more. It doesn't gobble up the entire space in a mix. It is crispy and it is vintage. It makes a great first analog drum machine for those who don't care about editing sounds, and for gear addicts like me who enjoy different flavors in the drum machine arsenal. At a fraction of the cost of the original, Behringer is on a roll here. The RD-6 is a wonderful recreation of the classic 606 if that's your thing. And there you have it. Thanks for watching. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe.